So Key is not here today. So TJ, as the resident Lakers fan here on the set, are you confident that Pelinka can build a championship team?
Absolutely. He's done it before, has he not? This is what he's going to do. We get some size. All we need is some size. We right there with the rest of them. We got exposed in that Minnesota Timberwolves series. We couldn't stop dribble penetration, and we couldn't get a rebound. And so the draft pick, Thero, I like him. Athletic wing, that's what we're lacking. We don't have athleticism on a perimeter. And so we're lacking that. And so him as a draft, he going to come, he going to play. Just off of his size, athleticism, and the defense. He's going to play.
Who? The draft pick?
A dude, Thero.
Oh, okay.
From Arkansas.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be enough. He's going to have to figure out how we can get some size, how we can get it, whether it's a power forward, a center, whoever. We got to get some size.
Yeah.
Because we had Rudy Gobert in a playoff game looking like he was unstoppable. Like, and I didn't like that.
Like Shaq.
Yeah. I was.
You didn't like that?
No, I didn't like that. Like
Rudy Chamberlain.
Gobert had never done that before.
Right.
And he ain't did it after that. Like, he couldn't do he wasn't playing like that the rest of the playoff series, but we made him look like he was almost Will Chamberlain.
Right.
And so I do have confidence that Pelinka can do it. Now, there's going to be some assets he's going to have to give up, but if we can get a difference maker, then we got to do it, and I believe he can.
I didn't realize you were French.
Right.
Oui.
So, am I confident Pelinka can build a championship roster around Luka and LeBron? I'm not confident in that. Because, for one, he can build a championship. Let's just say that, because I always say the one ingredient top 5 player. Luka is certainly that. But when you got Luka, LeBron, Reaves, to me, they got 3 defensive liabilities. I don't believe that you can no longer build a championship around them two, Luka and Bron. These are your 2 best players, and they're probably your 2 worst defenders. Now, we always talked about and throughout the playoffs with certain guys who can't defend, certain guys who are in shape. Look at the league where it's going right now. They're going to have to overhaul this roster. Luka's got to be the only one standing and say, all right, we're going to build according to Luka's strengths. And what is that? We got to have defenders, athleticism, lob threats. And that's the only way they're only going to be able to do that. But I just no longer think they can do it as the roster constructed. But it's always that one ingredient, like I said, that Luka ingredient is definitely a championship caliber player. But as long as LeBron is there, I think they kind of held back. And that's not knocking LeBron, because he's still productive at his age. He just no longer can play heavy minutes and be the defender you need him to be for them to win a championship.
Yeah. No, this is not Rob Pelinka just starting to look for a big. He's been looking for one for more than a year, and I appreciate that that he's going to continue that pursuit. But you have, as Paul mentioned, 3 defensive liabilities in Austin, and LeBron, and Luka, and you don't have anybody protect them on the backside. That's not a recipe. Now, I agree. I knew we were going to get at least one. That won't be the last woe, by the way, since Paul and I are on the same side of the desk. The challenge, while I agree that Rob has demonstrated that he's capable of building a championship roster, LeBron James takes up 1/3 of your salary cap. And as much as he's still a box office draw and he's still a contributing player, he's not at this stage of his career worth 1/3 of your salary. And so that is the challenge. And I agree with Paul. It's like you need to be able to move on. So if this was just building a championship roster around Luka, I'd say, yeah, absolutely. Rob has that capability.
LeBron washed or something.
It's not. He's not worth the money that you're paying him at this point, and he's a bad combination with Luka.
Yeah, I don't think them two together.
Like, it's not like they can't play together, but they can't play together at a championship level because of the investment that you have in them. That's just the reality.
LeBron can guard, if you take LeBron off the perimeter and have him guard somebody that wants to operate within the mid-range and the post, LeBron is perfectly fine.
He's got it, but one-on-one, okay, but he's got to help. If he's on the back line, he's got to be a help defender as well. and that having to rotate off the back line throughout the playoffs and during the regular season, when he was there, all teams tried to do was get him in rotation. Let's make him have to move. Or if it was Jackson Hayes, whatever the bigs were, let's make them rotate. Because what we saw with the really good teams is everybody can defend. And the more two-way players you have on your that to me is the new change in the league today. Is like you have to have two-way players. The more two-way players you have, the better off you are. If you have to hide somebody offensively or defensively, you're at a disadvantage in today's game. And they got 3 guys that you're trying to hide defensively, and nobody who's good enough to be the full cloak and dagger to do that.
I think he can do it because he's built a championship roster before. So once you've done something once, I have to believe that you could do it again. It's very difficult to do. But he's not going to have a lot of space to do it. And I don't think that they just started looking for a big, to Ric's point. I think it was pretty obvious when Rudy Gobert was doing whatever he'd like with the Lakers that it was going to be a priority to fill that position. But the thing about the Lakers is that they're very tricky. You guys, you're very tricky. You remember the Lakers were completely out of it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Made that trade mid-season and went to the Western Conference Finals. Now, obviously, you have to have pieces, which is what we're all concerned about. Like, what are you going to trade? What assets do you have in order to acquire these players? But when they did it, we did not think that D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui was going to make that much of a dramatic difference in the roster, and it did. Now, Luka and LeBron does make for a different dynamic. Luka can get to a finals. We've seen him do it. But the team was meticulously built around what Luka does. And this team is not. That being said, I think that the West is wide open. Other than the Thunder, who we all have to put respect on because they are the champs, there's not another team in the West right now that is scary to me. The Nuggets obviously have the best player on the planet, but what about the rest of the roster? We saw how that worked out this year. So I think that there's a lot still to be determined with the Lakers and what they're going to look like and how this season is going to look. And I'm still, maybe it's nostalgia, but I'm not completely ready to write off LeBron James. He's second-team All-NBA and one of the smartest players.
Yeah, I'm not writing him. They're writing him off. I'm not.
I don't know that they're writing him off.
Well, you're not allowed to.
No, I am. I'm a fan of the team, not the players. You on my team, I like you. You leave my team, I don't like you anymore.
Okay, so LeBron's still...
TJ's old school. No, but I think he's still playing at a high enough level, and I think that an entire offseason of them figuring things out and moving the roster around, I still think it's available to them. I can't say unequivocally that they're not going to be contending next year.
This is the tricky part when we talk about them going to the Western Conference Finals, though, is, yes, they went, and it was surprising, and it was a result of the moves that they made.
Right.
But then they got stopped cold in the Western Conference Finals. Like, that was, if I'm not mistaken, a gentleman's sweep. And we're talking about building a championship roster. And I just look around the West, and I think you're right. It is wide open, but there are a lot of quality teams in the Western Conference.
Sure.
And so I think that only adds to the difficulty, because if you run into a Minnesota or you run into a Houston or you run into an Oklahoma City or you run into a Denver, like, their ability to snake their way to the conference final and avoid multiple really good teams, I think, is the challenge.
Well, I think it's the matchup. That's the problem. And that's why Rob Pelinka is talking about getting a big. Because when you mention all those teams, it's very easy to look at what the Lakers look like now and be like, they would get smoked. Yeah. Because they're not built to compete against those teams.
Like, even if they got a big, I'm just trying to think, like, what big could they use that can, like, say, all right, if we put, like, even if.
Well, they need a lob threat for Luka.
For sure. And
100%.
And a rim protector. But they went and got Mark Williams last year, right? And then realized, oh, wait a minute. A first-round pick in Dalton Knecht might be a little too much for Mark Williams.
They're farther away from a title. Because did you see them get exposed? Minnesota exposed.
It was on the perimeter. We got exposed on the perimeter.
They not only got to get more athletic, how are they going to get younger? They're not getting younger. LeBron is not getting younger. And Luka, I don't know how old is Luka, 26, 27? He played like he 38, the way he moved. You know, he got an old man's game. It's not a knock on Luke. It's just that he's a sloop-footed. You know,
He's slow.
Yeah, he looked like me when I was 37. Like, you know, guys, go ahead, man, Olay. Just go by me. I'm going to get out on the break.
Defense? Because offensively, he's not.
Yeah, but you can't have two guys who are defensive liabilities.
Well, that's the other part of the issue. And what we've seen throughout this postseason specifically is defense is very important. And they're allowing teams to...
Defense is important now because they went back to how when Paul came into the league, you was able to touch guys.
Physicality.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first year where it's like, oh, you can really put hands on guys
I like that.
when they have the ball. And so now it's a somewhat of a changing of the guard. It's going to be very interesting to see once this regular season starts, how are they going to officiate the games?
Yeah.
How are they going to officiate the games? And we have two assets that we can move that other teams would want. It's Rui and Austin Reaves. Austin Reaves being the biggest asset, but it can be done.
Well, let's talk about Austin Reaves. He reportedly declined a 4-year, $90 million extension, opting to wait for free agency next year when he could potentially earn even more. So, Rick, should the Lakers pay Reaves or should they trade him?
They should trade him. He's turned it down, so they can't pay him now. They got to wait until next year, and then it would be loading him up with more than they're offering him now. But he's a luxury at this point. Nothing against Austin Reaves, massive overachiever, love his game. But with Luka Dončić, he's a luxury. He is better with the ball in his hands than off the ball. As we have already mentioned, he's not a great defender. He doesn't fit what you need next to Luka Dončić, particularly when he's your most valuable asset in terms of being able to change that. So I know that Austin wants to continue his career in L.A. and loves being here and all of that, and he's a fan favorite. I get all of that. But if you are building around Luka Dončić, he's a luxury, and they need staple items. Like, they need basics. They need 3-and-D guys. They need a rim-protecting, roll threat big. So he just, you know, if you had those things, then you'd say keep him. But they don't, so they got to use him to go get him.
Yeah, I mean, I love him with Luka, though. It's just
You do?
I do love him with Luka, but not with Luka and LeBron. You know what I'm saying? He fits the mold of the type of players that Luka, like, he catch and shoot, he can make plays. Think about it, if he was out there, if LeBron wasn't there, and then LeBron, his position was a 3-and-D guy or another athlete. You know, it's just that LeBron is going to take up so much of the offense and not give you the defense. And so is Luka taking up so much of the offense, not give you the defense. Then I don't need Reaves because he's doing the same thing as they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of repetitive having those three. So I think you should trade them. You need to find a way to get younger, more athletic, shooting. They have a number of problems, though. I think people think that this is a quick fix and getting a big.
They're not one piece away.
No, they're not one piece away.
Y'all haters, man.
That's not hate.
Do you think they're one piece? Why do you think they're one piece away?
Swept.
We've talked about three. They need to be more athletic and defensive on the wings. And with all due respect to the new pieces, I'm not buying that rookies and undrafted free agents are going to get the job done.
Playing defense is about want to, man. It's about want to. Either I want to or I don't.
Or I just don't have the ability
it starts there.
Austin Reaves can stop and go. He can move laterally. If he really wants to play defense, he can. It just takes a lot of energy. Like,
listen, TJ, I'm telling you, I wanted to play defense too when I was 37.
Yeah, but
my
37.
My legs was like, nah.
Austin Reaves
His mind went there. His body did not.
My legs was
Mind is willing, but the body is not.
Austin Reaves is young enough to where if he, as my boy Cuffs the Legend want to say, if he want to slide the puppies and move the puppies, he can.
I'm sure he can. Hey, I'm telling you.
I'm not trading Austin Reaves unless I can get a difference maker, because Austin Reaves is a difference maker. Like, if you look at his career, he's improved
100%.
every single year. So he averaged 20 points last year.
Yes.
He's probably going to come back this year, 22, 23.
A lot of those numbers, and I didn't break it down, but I guarantee you a lot of those numbers were before Luka got there.
Listen,
Yeah.
he still had to play a bunch of games with Luka. He averaged 20 points. He averaged 20 points, and he's only getting better. His game has shown us every offseason, I'm going to improve.
But
and he's done it.
Let me present this to you, though. obviously we were talking about the Lakers are just in a really tough spot because they're in a win now, but they also want to prepare and start building around Luka for the future.
Sure.
So assuming that this is LeBron's last season, which we don't know, but
I'm keeping him.
What? Who?
Austin Reaves.
He just shut down your. Go ahead, present your idea.
But like, assuming that this is LeBron's last year, right? The scoring is not the problem. You have LeBron and you have Luka. The problem is defense, rim protection. That's what you need. Perimeter defense. Like, those are the things you need. You need a lob presence, a rim defender, and defense across the board if you have Luka and LeBron. What you don't need is more scoring. Yeah. You have Luka and LeBron.
They got 3 guys on that roster that after the game, they be having talks with their legs. Like, hey, man.
If LeBron isn't there,
you got to move these things better. Come on, April.
Luka is just, he got to account for all the points we scored. If LeBron isn't
Luka
there.
and LeBron.
But you said after this year, LeBron retires.
Okay, so but that's the problem the Lakers are in. Do you build
What are you doing?
Man, wake up.
Come on, I told you we needed to go.
around a team that can win this year with Luka and LeBron, or do you build a team around Luka that can compete for the future?
I'm okay.
You kind of can't have both right now.
I'm okay with trading Austin Reaves if we can get like a Jaren Jackson. I'm okay with that. But if you just trading him
that's a good move.
for just a regular dude,
well,
I'm not doing that.
Get washed
Paul, you
on the
play
trade.
in the NBA. To me, defense is all about desire, and I'm not letting my man score. Like, if you really are a competitor and you have some pride, eventually your pride got to kick in and say, I'm not letting him score on me, period. I'm not letting you score.
Defense is about want to, but there's also anticipation. There's also a mentality. There's also conditioning. There's also, like, understanding the game, knowing where to be at certain times. Like, I think it's more than just, like, you can be you can go from being a bad defender to an okay defender.
Especially now they letting you foul, and that's like defense. Now, you seen Casey Wallace grab TJ McConnell hand in the final. They ain't call that. Like, they letting you foul now.
But there's also technique to it.
Yeah.
Like the Alex Carusos and Casey Wallace, the guys with Oklahoma City. One of the reasons why they get away with all of kind of the hand fighting is because referees judge the angle, and if you can get a step on a guy, then the contact is different. If I'm standing you straight up and I'm doing all this, but you're not going by me, they'll let me do that. If you're here and now I'm grabbing or trying to slow you down.
Who our defensive coach? Is it Scott Brooks? Who our defensive coach with the Lakers? Who, like, our defensive coordinator? Because, you know, they had that in the NBA now. Who's our guy?
I don't keep up with the Lakers coaches.
Whoever our guy is, then better start teaching that technique.
But look, here, the reality is LeBron James at one time could guard just about every position. He's 41 years old.
If he wants to.
No, he can't. No, he can't. He can want all he want to at 41. He can't stay in front of wings
32 minutes
anymore.
a game, he can do it. If he plays 32 minutes a game, he can do it. Just can't play 38 to 40.
You fought the good fight, TJ.
We can do it. Like,
you know what? You know what you are right now? You are not a player's coach right now. You are a coach.
Coach,
we're going to get to that conversation.
I'm a both. I want to win, but
no, you are coach.
I got to have my guy. So, Paul.
Talk to me.
Are the Celtics in a rebuild?
No, not at all, Joy. Rick, TJ. We're in a reboot. You know how your iPhone got a, update? We're in update mode.
Okay. So it's like loading. It's taking a little while.
Yeah, it's taking a little while. You know, I say so many hours. Ours just say 1 year maybe. Something like that. Our new update is coming. That's all. Because we still have our foundational guys. Of course, Tatum, he's going to have a year to recover. Brown is certainly part of the foundation. Derek White. What they did was cut some costs, which is understandable. And, I think there's going to be a big evaluation period this year. I think you're going to see how far away are we. We're going to look, play out the season. And it could be some trades throughout the season because think about it. The Eastern Conference, who's the favorite next year? Cleveland? They got dusted by Indiana. I'm really starting to think, is Cleveland that much better than Boston even without Tatum? Man, I don't know. So I think we're going to go through this evaluation period. play it out, see where we at. Boom, boom, boom. We get ready for the next year. Tatum come back. Now we got to make our moves to fill in the blanks. And we'll be right back in contention because we're relatively young. Brown is 28. Tatum's 27. Around there, we still got Pritchard coming off the bench, 6th man of the year.
Derek White.
Yeah, Derek White. So the foundation is there. You know, as long as you got a solid core, everything will play out. So not worried about, you know, what a rebuild is like. You would have saw Jaylen Brown get traded on draft night, like the rumors were saying. See, we don't follow the rumors. We don't do all that. So we'll be all right though. We just gonna sit back in the cut, look, see what's going on, and then slide when it's time. When it's our time again.
How do you know? How do you know what Jason Tatum's going to be when he gets back?
Listen, this is the timetable. Think about it. He hurt his leg. Last month, March? I mean, April, May, right? Mm-hmm. So from May, he's going to have a whole year and a half to recover. Mm-hmm. That's a good amount of time, Rick, because it's going to be he has to be ready by October
2026.
2026.
I know, but whenever he comes back, what
I expect from him?
Yeah.
It'll take some time, but, you know, we have living examples. KD, for instance, you know, he looks better than ever still at the age of 37. Tatum's still young. So this is not an injury. Injuries of the 2020s is not the same as, like, when I came in, when there was different type of surgeries and the recovery was different. Like, the athletes are better, and we recover.
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah.
We're in the
Like,
2020s.
Can I get a full screen here
Full
of
screen.
guys who have had an Achilles?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
We got one.
That year they played.
We got one guy there whose numbers went up. And
No, we don't need his numbers to go up, though.
And all the other guys' numbers went down.
Well, wait. So are you suggesting that Jason
dramatically.
Tatum is not going to be the same player when he comes back from this Achilles?
I don't know. But how are you going to explain this?
Okay,
How are you?
He's a very
Okay, I will.
How are you going to explain this?
he's
Okay,
a very
I'll
young
explain.
Paul
player.
Pierce.
Okay, this is how I will explain it, Ric Bucher. Now look at this list, right? You see the names on it. Klay Thompson. How old was he? Was he 26 when he did his? No. He's probably in his 30s.
No.
DeMarcus Cousins is a big man. It's different. Kobe Bryant was well into his 30s when he did it. I don't know how old Elton
Brown was in his 30s also.
in his 30s when they did it.
Well, so was Kevin Durant.
Elton Brand was 28.
I get it. But
Elton Brand was 28.
Elton Brand was 28.
Elton Brand was 28. How are you going to explain that?
But listen, we're
What year was
talking
that?
an elite athlete, right? At the tender age of 26. All these guys was like upper 20s, 30s. I mean, Elton Brand is the only one that was in his 28. And we're talking about an elite athlete, an elite player, which Kevin Durant is, right? I can see him following that pattern.
Okay.
KD, check this out. What you do? Oh, that was the blueprint to come back? Oh, that was the mindset? You know, I'm sure he's making calls to these guys. That's what the players do now. Talk about it.
I think the challenge.
It'll be fine.
The challenge is, and you know this, Paul, in all seriousness, is that what made the Celtics champions wasn't just their core. It was all the special pieces that they put around them.
Exactly.
And I like finding another Drew Holiday, finding another Kristaps Porzingis.
Well, the formula isn't always the same.
No, it's not always
It's
the
not
same.
always the same.
But the
formula
money,
changing now.
but the money, you got two guys that are going to be making $60 million plus. Like, you don't have the same wherewithal now to go get those extra pieces. And that's the only reason why I bring up the Jason Tatum thing, is because, you know what? He may come back and he may be the same. But the idea that he's going to be appreciably better is a question. And I feel at this stage, if you're taking away all these ancillary quality pieces, then you're going to look to Jalen and to Jason to carry a heavier load, to be even better than they are. And maybe they can be, but that's the tricky part of him coming back off of an Achilles, is that's what he has to be.
No, yeah, the formula is changing, is what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like, the formula is not going to be the same from this championship. So now, in order to get back to contention, you know, like how we saw OKC, Indiana, now we're going to have to probably have a deeper roster. You know, we don't say, hey, Jason, we need you to come back and average 27, 28. I'm not sure that can happen right away. It may happen in a couple of years after we recover, but, like, I'm going to look at the roster like, hey, we need more depth now. So that's why we got rid of some salary.
Yep.
And we'll probably continue to do that because you see
Older, expensive
we got
pieces.
Anthony for 1 year, so more salary next year will come off. And then you start to retool that way. I think they'll be fine, though. I think they got the blueprint, and I trust Brad Stevens, one of the best front office
But you
presidents.
don't trust Rob Pelinka?
No, I don't trust Rob. No, do you?
I do, because he's done it before. Like, it's a rebuild.
We're talking
It's
about
just
Celtics right
quiet. It's a quiet rebuild, right?
I don't think it's a rebuild. No, I think because I don't know that I believe. I think the Celtics would have lost that series regardless of whether Tatum got hurt or not. However, I think that if Tatum was 100% healthy, they would have found a way. Someone was going to have to go because they were not going to pay $500 million for a roster.
And Porzingis was hurt the majority of last year anyway, so losing him is like whatever.
So between salary and luxury taxes, they were on pace to spend almost $500 million in payroll for the next season.
Yep.
So if you're not winning a championship off of that,
I'm getting rid of them too. We ain't winning.
Yeah, but those guys were crucial to the championship
right.
team.
But the tricky part for the Celtics, and the reason why I don't think they're in a rebuild, I think they're just rebooting, is you have your core in Tatum and Brown and Derek White. But Drew Holiday is going to get older in this time that Tatum isn't around. Porzingis has had a lot of injury issues. As vital as he was, he's had some availability issues. So do you pay $500 million? Obviously, that's not going to happen. And you're not truly in full contention mode this year. However, I think Tatum will be back 100%. I think it's 2025. They have amazing recovery technology now, and he's 26 years old. So I think he'll be fine. It might take a little bit. He might be a little rusty coming back in the beginning of the season, but I think he will 100% get back to what he was before, which was one of the best players on the planet. That, to me, is the problem, is that you can't keep this roster in place if you're not competing for a championship, but you will be once he gets back. So I don't think of it as a rebuild.
But this is the tricky part is, again, I hate to, always bring up money, but you're paying both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum supermax contracts. I'm pretty sure, if not max, supermax.
Yeah.
67, close to $70 million,
Yeah.
right? What OKC had was they were able to spread it out and buy quality, have quality players.
Well, they got
because they were able to.
These dudes is going to be coming up for deals now, though.
Yes, they are. They are, and that's going to be the challenge for OKC moving forward. But I think that's the new dynamic, that if you're going to build diversity and depth into your roster, then being able to make a run with your guys before they get paid the max is going to be key to doing that. And Boston is past that. They've already loaded up on Jaylen and Jason. So if you're going to, and Derek White, they're taking a huge chunk out of your salary cap. So going to get those complementary pieces, you're going to have to be very shrewd. I don't put it past Brad Stevens to find some diamonds in the rough, but that's what it's going to take. Right. And that's where I think it's a little more than just a reset for a year. I think there's a lot of work that Brad has to do to put this particular team back into title contention.